Hi everybody, this is your latest Hurricane Tracker app video update. Well, we have a few things we wanted to discuss here with you through a video update today. First and most importantly is we've been watching the satellite imagery this afternoon here out of the Gulf of Mexico. And I'm just going to go ahead and put this in motion for you. And just by looking at the satellite imagery, one would think that it appears something is developing here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, west-southwest of Tampa. Looks can be deceiving. There's a trailing cold front into the northern Gulf of Mexico, and it looks like a low pressure area in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere has developed, and it's got quite a bit of rotation and circulation and plenty of precipitation associated with it, as you could see here. And sometimes these systems can actually move down to the surface and develop a surface circulation. The waters are plenty warm. However, right now there is no vorticity, there's no spin at the lower levels. This is the current 850 millibar, which is lower levels of the atmosphere, amount of spin that's in the lower levels. And if it's light green, there's not really much spin, and as you get into the yellow and the orange and the red colors, that would show you that there's quite a bit of spin in the atmosphere. For example, over here with Tropical Storm Dahlia, there's a lot of low-level spin because we have a tropical storm out here. So right now, there's not a lot of spin in the lower levels of the atmosphere. It's in the upper levels. And the wind shear, you can't really see this map very well, but the wind shear here in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico is about 10 to 15 knots on average. So the wind shear is, there's a little bit, but it's low enough to where something could develop. And actually the Canadian, the CMC model, this afternoon's run is developing a tropical storm here in the Gulf within the next 48 hours. You can see it here developing it, and moves it right north into the Florida Panhandle on July the 4th. Now, if you've been following our updates, several days ago, this model was showing first it was showing a hurricane developing and moving into Louisiana. Then it eventually dropped the hurricane and started developing a tropical storm in this area and moved it into the Florida Panhandle. And then it dropped that development, and then today it's now back showing a tropical storm forming out of this system here in the eastern Gulf. So development or no development, there's going to be a lot of rain over the eastern Gulf of Mexico states, even up into eastern Alabama and all of Georgia and the Carolinas over the coming days. So we'll just have to sit and watch and see if something propagates down to the surface and if we could get development here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Now, if that's not enough to worry about, the GFS model along with the NOGAPS model have been consistently showing some weak development here. Later this week, July 5th, 6th, 7th, here in the southern Bay of Campeche in the Gulf of Mexico, and developing a system and moving it west-northwest or northwest towards the middle to upper Texas Gulf Coast, or possibly even the southwestern Louisiana Gulf Coast. So I'd still say there's about a 20 to 30% chance that this could happen at the end of the week. So definitely this week we need to keep an eye on the Gulf. First half of the week we need to watch the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Second half of the week we need to watch the western Gulf of Mexico. It is that time of year in July where we can get surprise systems developing out of nowhere within a matter of just 24 to 48 hours. So we definitely need to monitor the situation in the Gulf, as there's a slight potential we could have a storm develop there this week. Now, looking into the longer range between maybe July 9th, July 13th, this first model run is from this afternoon of the Canadian model. And around, well, I'm going to put this into motion. Here's the system that it's forecasting to move into the Florida Panhandle this July 4th. So once that gets out of the way, we have high pressure building here in the western Atlantic. And then it's showing a tropical wave coming here across the Bahamas and over southern Florida July the 8th, develops it into a tropical storm July the 9th. And then July the 10th turns it west-northwest towards the Louisiana coastline and to a very strong tropical storm, maybe even Category 1 hurricane. Now this is just one model run. This is not a forecast, and we will let you know how the long range outlook appears. But right now it is looking like mid-July could become active. Now this time around, the Canadian CMC model does have some support here from the GFS American model. Although this model is just showing some spin and vorticity in the atmosphere, the GFS is not developing this wave into a tropical cyclone, but it's definitely showing energy coming from the same region the Canadian model was showing. And we also have a third model, one of the most reliable models, the ECMWF European model. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my brush here to highlight this. This model is also not developing this tropical wave, but it is showing energy in the atmosphere, and it is showing some sort of a surface low pressure reflection here over the Bahamas as we get into, looks like, the early parts of next week. So this situation may need to be watched. We're not saying that a hurricane is going to be impacting the Gulf Coast in the next week or two, but it is a slight possibility, as we do have support from 3 models now. And of course, we'll continue to watch these models as they run every 6 hours. We'll keep you updated here with video updates, audio updates, as well as our Facebook and Twitter postings. Thank you so much for watching this video and for using the Hurricane Tracker app. And we'll keep you updated if anything develops this week in the Gulf of Mexico. Have a great day and take care.